All right, welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Under the Dome. I'm your host, Alan Ulrich, here with a special guest host because Bob could not make it this evening. My son, Matt. How's it going tonight, Matt?
Very well. It's going very well.
All right. Um, so, a few things happened before we talk about the 49ers game. The Saints made a trade this past weekend for a wide receiver on injured reserve. And they basically traded a sixth round pick for a seventh round and this receiver on IR. So this receiver is not going to play this year. Why would the Saints make a trade like this? And this guy was a second round pick with the Patriots, but he didn't do anything. It was a second round pick last year in 2024. Why would the Saints make this trade? And what do you think of this receiver when he was coming out of the draft?
Yeah. So we traded for Jalen Polk. I really did like him coming out of college. He was part of that wide receiver trio from University of Washington that included their quarterback, Michael Penix. Made it to the championship before getting their butts handed to them by Jim Harbaugh's Michigan. I think they made the trade because this is a rebuilding team, and they need they mostly need guys for the future. They need cheap guys and guys who can be under contract for longer than a year. I mean, you have like Deshaun Vele, who's he was another one on a rookie deal. Now you have Polk. You're going to have more guys probably on a rookie deal, similar to guys. You need to get bodies in the building and try and get certain attributes, because what Polk is, he's more of a physical possession receiver. What I liked about him, I thought he was a reliable catcher. I thought he did a really good job at not only kind of spreading the field, but he seemed to have a really good chemistry making solid tough catches at Washington. You go back and look at many of the throws Penix made to Polk, and you never would have guessed that he was going to end up being the disaster of a receiver that he ended up being for New England.
So Nick Underhill talked a little bit to his New England contacts. What went wrong for him over there in New England? I mean, I know you had problems at quarterback. It took a while before they went ahead and played their starter this year, whose name escaped, Drake May. Took them a while to get to Drake May. They fired the coaching staff. What went wrong over there for him?
So there were a few things, some on his part, some were things that, it's just unfortunate circumstance. With him, he had a little trouble getting investing to the playbook. It was just kind of tough for him. And then, he lost confidence early, and it was very, very noticeable. It took him a while for it to get back. And then apparently the receiver coach there was way in over his head, and of course he's now gone. But you had a receiver coach who wasn't helping him much. And then once all the new coaching staff got there, the entire 2024 draft was put on notice for the Patriots, because all but one player for the Patriots has been either waived or traded for the Patriots. I feel like Vrabel was just ready to throw them all out the door, and if May struggled, he would have thrown him out the door as well.
Yeah, it seems like Vrabel wanted to scorch the earth and start at ground zero again and rebuild the team in his image. So this is my take on it. Now, I dealt with a few questions over the weekend and Monday at the office about this move. The Saints are rebuilding. This is a long-term vision. They've never done this kind of stuff before. The usual suspects like, oh, there goes Mickey Loomis trading for an injured player. This is what Mickey does. And my thing was, this is very different than anything Mickey has ever done. And I think this is, you got Thomas Dimitroff in there. You have, you still have Randy Mueller in there, as well as Kellen Moore now talking to his coaches and talking to the front office about guys that he likes. And I think they went back to their draft book and their notes and their scouting report on him. And it was somebody they were interested in coming out of the draft. So these guys, these guys basically had the attitude of, you know what, we're not going to win much this year, but let's build up an offensive team. Let's build up a some stockpile and some talent from other teams that other teams may not have worked out with them, and it only really cost you a 6th round pick. Mm-hmm. In the 50-something years, 58 years this November. I'm sorry, 59 years this November. But in the 58 years so far of this franchise, only one 6th round pick has ever hit, and that was Fred McAfee. Most of the 6th round picks end up being busts, and you just move on. If you spend a 6th round pick on a former 2nd round pick and it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So it's kind of to me, it's like you're taking a gamble on a player and seeing if you can fix him and seeing if you can get the kind of guy you thought you were getting out of the draft. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, you don't have a it's not like he's costing you big money. It's not like you are going to be honestly doing anything in the nearby future. If he works out, I mean, then you got a steal of a player and you have him for a couple more years. Either you can maybe extend him if he's doing really well, or maybe you can move off of him and get a good comp pick later down the road if that's still what you're fighting for.
Exactly. I mean, at worst, like I said, it turns out to be a guy that, you took a shot on. It was a 6th round pick. It's all it cost you. It's in 2027, no less. It didn't work out. Oh, well. It's not like you gave up a high pick. You didn't give up a 1st round pick. You didn't get a 2nd round pick. You gave up a 6th round pick. So, and you picked up a 7th. You got him for a 2nd round pick for a 7th, essentially. A 6th round pick. You picked up a extra 7th. I got no problem with any of this. Yeah. I like these kind of moves. It's stashing a player to see if you can do something with him later. Let me ask you about then the story that came out today. The Packers linebacker, Quay Walker, who I liked out of Georgia way back when, back in 2022. The Saints made an offer to try and get this guy. They offered a 5th round pick, probably from next year's draft, which would have pissed some people off. But they offered a 5th round pick. The Chargers were also interested, and the story said the Chargers offered a 4th round pick, but the Packers instead have decided to extend him. Now, Green Bay is kind of in the all-in mode right now because they've got a long list of free agents. They've been drafting very well, but it's time for a lot of those picks to get paid. They've made some moves and stuff like this. They've paid some of their players, but they got a pretty long list of free agents. And I think the Saints took a gamble that this guy, who is a former 1st round pick, he's been a solid but not an all-pro kind of player for the Packers. They took a shot and said, let's see if you guys are interested in moving him for a pick as opposed to just letting him walk in free agency. Do you know much about Quay Walker? What do you think of the guy? Do you have an opinion on him?
Yeah, right now he's been primarily used as a stand-up linebacker, kind of like Pete Werner and Demario Davis. And I find that interesting that they were trying to trade for him. So I wonder if they were going to use him more, like they were going to transform him to an edge rusher, or if he was going to be more that, stand-up linebacker that he was in Green Bay. Maybe he probably would have been moved to edge rusher because some of his better moments were when he was blitzing and when he's playing more downfield. Because he has a size that he's listed apparently as 6'4", weighing 241 pounds. So
Yeah.
it can possibly fit as an edge rusher, pairing him alongside Granderson and Cam Jordan. He probably might be the first guy that they rotate with Cam Jordan, and also could spell some bad news for Chase Young as his calf injury might be a little more serious than it's being led on, because last week he gets hurt, was limited in practice, and doesn't practice for the next 2 days, and then doesn't practice that following week. So now this is probably going to be interesting to see what happens here if hopefully he can practice, because I feel like his presence is definitely being missed in this defense.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a statement on Chase Young or not, but I do think they wanted to rotate more edge rushers in. Right now, they're going with Cam Rumpf, who I think had a sack Sunday.
He did.
And Granderson. That's really their three.
Yeah.
I think they're looking for 5. That way, they always have somebody fresh.
Yeah.
And somebody probably can play some special teams, which they may have seen Walker as maybe a guy who can play a little special teams if he's not, or maybe save him and let Rump play some special teams just to get some speed out there.
Yeah.
I find it kind of interesting that they thought about him because, Jerry, the Ulrich takeover. Well, it's my fallback option when Bob can't make it. But I do think it's interesting because it shows that the Saints roster is very fluid right now. That he is going to be constantly looking for cheap picks. I mean, this is a former first-round pick, so offering a 5th for a former first-rounder who's not a bust. I mean, he's just an okay player. I just find that interesting. I'm glad to see this kind of stuff because this is what a rebuilding team does. You have a couple options to build, and one way is to stockpile picks. You have the fire sale. You get rid of anybody that's worth anything on your roster. You get down to the bare bones, and then you start building via the draft. The other way is to do kind of what the Saints are kind of doing. You start trying to grab players that you've been interested in for a while to make up for the bad drafts that you've had. It does cost you some picks, but if it's all day 3 picks, is it a bad thing? I don't like giving up 5th rounders. Like I don't like giving up 4th rounders, but getting a former first round pick for a 5th, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, but I just thought it was worth looking into.
I also think what is interesting is that I think if you trade for Quay Walker, because he's in his final year of his rookie contract, he was a 2022 first round pick. If they trade a 5th rounder for him, and were they planning on maybe extending him as well? Like, even if it's just a 1 or 2 year extension, were they planning on keeping him a little long term, or is this something that it was just going to be a rental, which I think I might have been more against?
No, I'd be surprised if it's a rental. I would think that it would probably offer him a 2 or 3 year deal, some kind of extension if they would have brought him in, if they were able to make this trade, because that's not where the Saints are. If you thought you were, say, a player away, or if you could get a player that would kind of put you over the top to make a deep run in the playoffs, then a 1 year rental makes sense. Okay. But in this case, I think the Saints are just trying to stockpile some talent and get their hands on players rather than risk them go out to free agency. Kind of dangle a pick out there to a team that may not be that committed to paying a player. So it's a questionable strategy, but I like it from the standpoint of you're looking at other teams' rosters, at some of their contributors who are good, consistent players to kind of make up your core of your team. And I don't know what the vision would have been for this guy. He could have been an inside backer as well. It could have been one of these cases where the Saints are ready to move on from Pete Werner, and they may decide, okay, we're going to play Stutzman, but we may want this guy to come in and kind of groom him to play behind Demario Davis and have those two guys that are inside linebackers. I mean, the guy's 25 years old. So it could be that they may use him as an outside rusher too. I don't know how they saw this guy. I just know he comes from a winning program like Georgia. He was a good player there. He's been a solid player with the Packers. The Packers have a good defense. So it just would have been interesting. I think we're going to see more moves like this. I think they're looking at everyone's rosters right now and they're kind of scoping out what players, rookie players, young players, are kind of on the outside looking in as far as their future with a franchise and saying, hey, do you think we should go ahead and grab this guy now and not risk him going to free agency, make a trade, get him in here, kind of to help our team get over this lack of talent? Because I think what we have seen the past 2 weeks, the reason why the Saints have been close but not been able to close the deal is because of a lack of talent at certain positions. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that right now. So what were your initial thoughts on the 49ers game? Because there's some big issues I saw, but what were your initial thoughts about the game? How do you view, let's look at the offense, for example. How do you view the offense?
The Saints offense could have been better. I felt like there were still some opportunities we could have came away with points, and we kind of left them on the field. You know, and talking about Spencer Rattler, he did improve from the Arizona game. I thought he took a big step up, and he showed exactly what Kellen Moore was looking for from his quarterbacks. He wants to see his quarterbacks kind of overcome adversity, and he had to overcome 3 early drops, just bad timing and bad ball placement and all that. He overcame all that and threw 3 nice touchdowns, I will admit.
Yeah, I mean, his first deep shot to Rashid Shaheed was a really good throw and a really nice catch by Shaheed.
Yep.
Yeah, he was off target on that pass to Chris Olave in the end zone, and it was a huge play, even though it was early in the first quarter. It was the first drive of the game. But I would have liked it. It was still a catchable ball. Olave should have been able to come down with it. And that's one of my problems, one of my many problems with Chris Olave. I feel like the guy, don't get me wrong, he's a good player. I just don't think he's a wide receiver number 1, as the kids like to say. I don't think he's your X. I don't think he's your dominant receiver. I think he's a good complementary piece, but he's not the guy that's going to be the guy that defenses and defensive coordinators stay up at night thinking about, how do we contain him? How do we control him?
Yeah.
And I just don't see that. I see him as a guy they're like, yeah, we got to watch him, and he could do some stuff to us, but we can handle him one-on-one or with just a little safety help sometimes.
Yeah.
And that was obvious during the game because he was rarely double teamed. He used mostly one-on-one coverage. The other guy who dropped 2 key passes, and both of them were drive killers. Juwan Johnson. Now, he had a nice touchdown catch, but Juwan Johnson, again, he's not a guy that teams stay up at night trying to figure out how to stop him. He's just a guy. Mm-hmm. And this is where the Saints need an upgrade. And I've been screaming for a tight end. So is Bob, a tight end in this team in the worst way. And we still don't have one. And I don't know what it's going to take for them. I mean, I wanted Warren in this draft. I'm not going to lie. I don't mind. I'm glad we have Banks. Banks was needed. But, man, if I could have gotten Warren, I would not have been upset.
Tyler Warren already in 2 games is tearing it up in in Indianapolis. So that makes 2 tight ends taken in the first tight ends taken already tearing up in the league within 2024 and now 2025.
Yeah, to answer your question, Alan, I don't think they don't have a wide receiver 1 right now. I think they've got a lot of 2s and 3s on the team. Just not anybody who can step up and be the Michael Thomas, the Joe Horn, the Marcus Colston, the Eric Martin, that kind of guy that I can go to and I feel confident in going to when I need a catch. That's, they're trying to do that with Juwan Johnson. That's who Rattler seems to have the most comfort with. That's who he throws to the most. But Juwan Johnson's just not consistent. Yeah, I know Warren Bowers last year in the draft. Everybody would have loved to have him. He's a huge player for the Las Vegas Raiders. And then I'm looking at this year's draft class on tight ends, and it's like, okay, now this is one this is not a good draft for tight ends.
Yeah, so it's definitely on the lesser, and it feels like for 3 straight years you could have had a really good tight end on your team, and now for 3 straight years the Saints don't take advantage of it.
Well, yeah, because they prioritize somebody else.
Or they prioritize another position, because when you screw up drafting on one position, you have to neglect a different one, and it really sucks.
Yeah. I mean, what have we been talking about all this weekend and the first part of this week on all Saints social media? How bad Ruiz is now at guard, and we still don't know what Penning's like at guard. So once again, they need help on the offensive line. We've drafted that whole offensive line is 4 first rounders and a 2nd rounder.
Yeah.
One of them isn't playing right now, so they got an undrafted free agent playing.
Raduns is a former 2nd rounder.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah, it's Simpkins who's the undrafted guy. But yeah, you've got a free agent in there because you're still trying to get the talent, the investment that you put into that position, and the talent to come up and make the plays, and we're just not seeing it. And Banks looks like a solid player, despite what PFF thinks. Banks looks like a solid player that you finally have your left tackle solved.
They're also calling Spencer Rattler the 9th best quarterback out of 2 weeks, and then they have Baker Mayfield ranked as the 3rd worst quarterback. If you watched that game last night, watching Baker Mayfield eventually lead a comeback, do you think Baker Mayfield's the 3rd worst quarterback in the league? I seriously doubt it. It makes me wonder, they must not have coaches or former coaches at all watching. It has to be college kids working on an internship, grading these players that have never seen a down of football.
Well, my complaint has always been, you don't know what they're, and you're a teacher now. You don't know what the metric is. What is the grading metric? What are they using to grade? Yeah. Secondly, Are there any coaches? Who are the people making these grades? Do they understand the play? Do they understand the responsibility of the player on that play? Or are they just looking at one-on-one matchups? If the guy got beat or not. If he got beat, he gets a point taken off. If he dominated on the block, then he gets a point. I mean, I don't know how they do their grading system. They just put these grades out here. It doesn't mean anything.
And
You have to.
They hide their formula for it, and it's not like the NFL with their comp pick formula. They hide it intentionally so teams can't figure out how they can get high comp picks, because it could not only screw up free agency, you also risk at certain teams tanking and not playing certain players. But there's no reason to hide your metrics. There's no reason to hide any of this stuff.
Well, and I would like to take the Saints grade for their players and put it up against PFF and explain the grades. I mean, for the sake of argument here, anybody that's been in a classroom, and that should be everybody in this audience, but anyone who's been in a classroom knows that, a typical grading scale, let's say it's 10 points, 100 to 90 is an A, 89 to 80 is a B, and so forth. We know this, okay? We know this because when we get a test, each section has a point value, okay? If you've got 50 questions, each question is worth 2 points. That way you can figure out how many you can get right to get a passing grade, right? I mean, that's the most simple, basic thing. That's what PFF needs to put out there and tell you, okay, this is how we graded it. And we graded it based on these things. And I think the reason why they're afraid of that is if they put that out there, every coach in the league is going to be like, well, that's not what this guy's responsibility was. That's not what he was supposed to do. You're grading, you're flunking him when he is doing what we told him to do. Now,
they built up a relationship with the NFL and NBC in particular, because when you watch Sunday Night Football, they put up those bullshit player rankings that they come up with based off the grades. And if all of a sudden they're starting to get critiqued by NFL and NFL coaches, all that goodwill gets burned away. Everything starts to get pulled, and all of a sudden they're a well-known organization that pairs well with the NFL and all that, to now just being a rinky-dink site that just posts their opinion along with everyone else.
Yeah, well, it's more than that. It's really just a bullshit stat to keep fans interested, because it's just like the power rankings. It's just like fantasy football rankings. All these things. It's to get fan interaction and discussion. It's not, I mean, when it comes to these guys getting paid, when it comes to these guys, who is the top and most prosperous or most popular free agents and so forth, that's a totally different scale. And that's obvious when it comes to drafting. That's why Mel Kiper loses his shit, because the Colts don't take Trent Dilfer in the draft, or they didn't take Shedeur Sanders in the draft. Yeah. I mean, because those GMs, the ones who actually have to make those decisions, rank players based on certain criteria that's not the same as what Mel Kiper and PFF decide is the ranking. And it's not objective. It's very subjective. Yeah. And it's a meaningless stat. It really is. It's a meaningless stat.
There's a play I saw last night in the Chargers-Raiders game. So the edge rusher, Tuli Tuipulotu, goes, tries to get after Geno Smith. He gets stonewalled. Like, he gets pushed back. Mm-hmm. The right tackle made a great play. But when Geno tried to make the check down, the edge rusher tips the ball up, and it's almost intercepted by the DB trying to go for the tip ball. If you're PFF, how do you grade that? I mean, he had a negative play where he got stonewalled, couldn't generate a pressure or hurry, nothing.
That would be the grade.
But he still made an impact play batting the pass.
Yeah.
Are you still going to mark him negatively because his initial response was to rush a passer, or I mean, what about the recovery where he bats the pass away?
Yeah.
It's
That
unfair. It's unfair to judge him harshly because he got stonewalled, but he still made an impact play that nearly resulted in a positive play for the Chargers.
Yeah. So you look at, and they would grade him negatively because he got stonewalled. But
Mhm.
so let's take an actual bit of dialogue. You know how I like to watch America's game. Okay, the all the various teams that won Super Bowls in the 1966 Chargers, 1966 Packers. No, I'm sorry, 66, the one that went to the Super Bowl one. Linebacker. I'm just drawing a blank on his name now. The one who makes the play in the Cotton Bowl to force Don Meredith to throw Robinson's his last name. I just can't think of his first name. But he we lost Matt. Let's see. You back? You dropped off.
I'm back. Trying to see if I can fix the camera a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I just changed the resolution on it a little bit. But yeah,
you're still in black.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, let me finish my story real quick while you're doing this. Okay. So Robinson, his first name escapes me right now, but he talks about the play he made really to preserve the Packers win. It's 4th and goal on the 1, and the Cowboys made a mistake. They put the wrong player in a substitution package for the play they were going to run. It was supposed to be a blocking fullback who did not know he was supposed to be out there. Somebody else went out there, missed their block. Robinson read what was going on, and instead of staying his responsibility, went after Don Meredith. Don Meredith throws this Hail Mary type of pass off balance as Robinson's starting to hit him. The ball floats to the secondary. The Packers intercept. They'll go on to Super Bowl one. Cowboys lose. Robinson said after it was over with, he got a -2 from Vince Lombardi on his grade because he didn't do what he was supposed to do, although he did what it takes to make the play. So, again, that shows you some of the grading issues compared to how they play. Speaking of which, we talked a little about the offense. Let's talk a little about defense against the 49ers, because I kind of have a love-hate relationship right now with the Saints defense, because they made a lot of the plays they needed to make to keep the Saints in the game, while at the same time they made all the mistakes on third down that either resulted in touchdowns or kept drives going. How would you grade the Saints defense last Sunday?
I would say a D-, because they got the turnover. They generated a little bit of pressure. I mean, Carl Granson's still a magnificent player. I think he's playing better than he had with Dennis Allen.
Yes.
However, you are never going to win if you're keeping that offense on the field on third downs. I think they were 8 of 12. 8 of 12. And I think eventually went to 8 of 15 at the end of the game because, they're trying to milk clock and all that. They're not worried about keeping the drive alive too much.
Yeah.
You can't win the game when it comes to it's like 3rd and 12 and all of a sudden they get a 15-yard gain. You can't win that way.
Absolutely.
Because let's see, on third down, they were 8 of 15. That is over 50%. And like last week, you were 6 of 13. You can't. I mean, 14 to 28 out of 2 games is unsustainable. It is very much unsustainable.
No, your offense is struggling enough. Your defense needs to get off the field. You can bend, but don't break. But they are breaking at certain points, and that happened, making Mac Jones look like Joe Montana back there. And a lot of it was because he was able to stand in the pocket and make his throws. A lot of it was they sat in holes in the secondary, holes behind the linebackers, and just poor pursuit angles to give up big plays like that last second to last touchdown, not the McCaffrey one, but the
Jawan Jennings,
where he just kind of ran through the secondary at got a 46-yard TD. It's just you can't make those kind of plays. And some of it is communication issues. This is one of the things that Bob was worried about. Some of it is just players getting beaten. I think Giddem had a bad game. I thought Pete Werner had a hot and cold game. When he was blitzing, he made some plays. In coverage, though, he was guessing. And then a couple of times on some touchdowns, I thought because Sanker's a rookie, Sanker went to his responsibility instead of following the play, kind of put Demario Davis in no man's land on the bootleg.
Yeah.
And he left the number 85. I can't think of who that is.
Luke
but number
Farrell.
85.
Luke Farrell.
Okay, he left him one-on-one with Yiddom, and Yiddom just wasn't in a good position to make a play. The guy was just bigger than him. So it's that kind of stuff. I think if Blackham would have been there, then there wouldn't have been anywhere to go because he would have attacked the play. He would have seen where this was going. Where is he going to go with the football and not make DeMario make the decision whether I'm going to go after the quarterback or am I going to try and drop off in coverage to keep him from completing the touchdown? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is some of the rough spots that need to be corrected, but this is like you said, it's unsustainable. You can't keep making these mistakes because it's going to come back and burn you.
Yeah. And I think one thing that would help with this third down defense that is just so badly missing is you need Chase Young back. You need Chase Young to rush on that opposite side with Granderson. Because say what you will about Chase Young, he knows how to disrupt the pocket. He knows how to get a quarterback out of his spot or get him uncomfortable. You get a guy like Chase Young there, all of a sudden on third down, quarterbacks are panicking a little bit. They're out of their spot. They have to make the move, and it's now making life easier for your secondary.
Well, and more than Chase Young, you just being able to put pressure on him. Chase Young has to finish plays, and I think that's the other problem that we have right now. We're not finishing plays. Brian Brzee is somebody who's been getting a lot of low grades from PFF. I have seen Brian Brzee make some impact pressures, but he's not finishing. He's not getting to the quarterback and bringing him to the ground. It's taken him too long to disengage from blockers, or he's just not closing fast enough to when he throws the blocker aside, closing fast enough to shut the play down. And it's a process. It's just like you talk about Granderson playing his best football right now. I think Brzee best football is ahead of him. He's getting there, but he's not there yet. Granderson is there right now. Granderson looks like the kind of player that we need to rush the passer, so we just need someone on the other side of the field that's doing the same thing to make the quarterback step up into the pocket and have Brzee pushing the pocket and finishing the play. I think that's the dynamic that's missing. We're just not getting the other edge rusher around to really confuse the blocking of the offensive line and close it. That way, the quarterback is on his butt.
Yep.
To me, that's the big thing we're waiting for. That's the last piece that's missing. Is it time to bench Yidam?
Yeah, I would go ahead and bench him. I mean, I feel like you know what you're going to get from Isaac Yidam. You're going to get a journeyman veteran play, and you have Quincy Riley. Like, if you're worried about him struggling, I'd rather see him struggle than to see Isaac Yidam struggle. Because at least with Riley, you can say, well, he's a rookie. Hopefully, he can improve. He can do better. But with Yidam, you're like, I mean, this is a guy that is now 29 years old. This is just who he is. He's not going to show anything different. I mean,
Well, Yidam played for the 49ers last year,
and
it was pretty obvious that,
Shanahan,
Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan knew all his weaknesses because they targeted him a lot. They isolated him a lot.
Yep.
They knew exactly how he was going to play. So I think Giddem had a worse game than he really does normally, but I'm also thinking about that 4th round compensatory pick. If he gets 30% of the snaps, I'm ready to start transitioning and putting the rookie out there. I mean, you put Sanker out there. Sanker wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I thought he held up pretty well back there.
Quincy Riley, I'll admit, it's a lot smarter than I think some people might realize, because I watched him at training camp when I was there. I saw a couple preseason games. There were just some moments where you feel like he's understanding what the route is and he knows where he needs to be.
Yeah.
And we're getting very, very close. Very close.
Absolutely. And so, in a rebuilding year, I think after the Buffalo game, because I think Buffalo's just going to light this defense up unless they dramatically improve. If after the Buffalo game you feel like, okay, you've hit the point where I've seen enough, you go ahead and make the change and put Riley in, and let's roll with the rookie and see what he does. Sanker should be pretty confident by then, should feel pretty confident about what's going on, that he can play safety. You don't have to babysit him too much, but I'm ready to start seeing some of the young guys come in. I think with Ruiz, we'll have the I've seen enough moment when Penning is back, and Penning is playing pretty solidly at guard, that you feel confident enough to try and put Radnews at
right guard.
I think right now you just don't have a guy that you feel confident enough in to replace Ruiz with him.
Yeah, either you're going to put – I mean, the only other players that are behind that that are listed as guard are guys like Simpkins, the UDFA, or the other UDFA that you claimed off waiver, Xavier Truss. But you don't want to
he was a draft pick, but
was he a draft pick? Or
Truss was drafted in the 7th round, but
okay.
And you're just not ready for him to come in yet.
You don't want to start putting them in yet so soon. But like you said, once Penny comes back, it's very much going to be you're on notice, because I did defend Ruiz a little bit on Twitter. So far I've not been hunted down yet, so you'll still see me in the morning tomorrow. But here's what I said about Ruiz. I said he's playing like how he did in his rookie year and his second year. And you notice who the offensive line coach was during those years. It was Brandon Nugent. Who's our offensive line coach now? Brandon Nugent.
Yeah.
When he left, and you have Marone and Benton, he played much better. He at least looked like a competent starter. Now he's reverting back to his first 2 years, where it feels like he never set foot on a football field before. So I think he's just not a good fit for Benton.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that he was they paid him like an average guard,
Yeah,
and he's regressed since then.
yeah,
It's just his third scheme learning in the past 3 years. Last year they were trying to do that zone blocking that Kubiak likes so much.
yeah,
Now they're trying. It's a form of it, but it's not quite. You're not quite as mobile, I
yeah,
think. But Ruiz is just regressing, and
yeah.
he's the weak link on the offense. We had a rare sighting. Valet showed up in the game
Yeah.
as a receiver. The guy we traded a 4th-round pick for, he caught a touchdown pass doing exactly what we brought him in here to do.
Yep.
As use his big body to shield off a defender and catch a touchdown pass. Do you see an increasing role for Valet now in this offense?
I think so, because I think eventually the one that's going to get phased out first is going to be Brandon Cooks. I think they're going to phase him out. I also would not be surprised if around the trade deadline, either Olave, Shaheed, or both are going to get moved off.
Really?
Yeah, because you look at kick returns, he's not on the kick return stat team. Shaheed, it's Kendre who's doing a really good job, and Velas who's not bad but not good either. I think he's just fast, but I can still hear Bears fans saying, still hoping that he doesn't fumble on the kickoff return, and then on punts, he's making some silly mistakes, and I would not. And this is where you got to go. Okay, who is going to be part of our future? Who is part of the next 2 to 3 years of this team? I think you would say Olave isn't. But now you have to look at Shaheed. Is he part of those next 2 to 3 years?
That's interesting because I figured of the two, Shaheed's probably the safer one to pay.
Yeah.
Because he's not a high draft pick. He is a guy that was an undrafted free agent. He's a speed merchant. He's young. He's been relatively healthy. He's only had one injury. It feels like if I had to make a choice between the two of them, Olave would be the player that you move off of. Yeah. Simply because I don't think Olave. I wouldn't pay Olave because of his injury history. I would pay Shaheed over Olave because not that Olave is a terrible receiver, but I just feel like he is a 2/3. Well, that's basically what Shaheed is, a 2/3.
Yeah.
I just don't see much upside on paying Olave like a number one receiver when you still have to draft a guy. Now, if Rattler, I don't think Rattler's going to pan out. I think we're seeing what Rattler is, a solid player who can be a backup in the league for a long, long time and can start several games if you need him to. But I still think Shuck is the I think Shuck is the future as of now.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about when Bob's on here, we'll get you back on here and we'll talk about all the quarterbacks in the draft, this coming up draft. But as we can all see, Peyton Manning's not ready to come out.
Arch
isn't ready to come out. I don't know. I can't believe we're calling Peyton Manning. Arch is not ready to come out. Nussmeier is what he is. Klubnik is falling off everyone's radar. Now they're scrambling. Oh, I like the kid from South Carolina. I like this kid from UAB. I like this kid from Tennessee, maybe. I like this kid. I like Carson Beck. Looks like one of the best quarterbacks coming out of this draft because he's playing at the U.
Yeah.
and he's got Miami playing well.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I'm
Carson
not
Beck,
drafting Carson Beck.
yeah. I was going to say Carson Beck was originally going to be probably a first-round pick going into the 2025 draft, but of course, seeing how he turned out in his final season with Georgia, he wisely elected to stay another year, though he probably could have gone
He's going
back.
to Bo Nix route.
Yeah.
He's going to Bo Nix
I would
route
say,
of I'm going somewhere and get some stats, put together some good stats, and see if I can be a top 10 pick.
but he's honestly not playing terrible. I will say that he is not playing terrible. It's not like, he's being a stat merchant where he's just taking advantage of, a team that's starting to look better now. No, he's actually playing pretty well.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is,
But yeah, I know
because
what you're
obviously
saying.
Bo Nix has turned out to be a good player, and I wouldn't have thought that when he came out of Oregon. But my point is, Carson Beck left Georgia for the opportunity to show off that he is more than a product of the Georgia offense, more than a product of a team that's surrounded by a lot of first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
Anna, I've said this many, many times. I just don't feel comfortable with the idea of Nussmeier coming to the Saints with his dad as the offensive coordinator. Because let's say for the sake of argument, the Saints, Rattler never wins a game. They put Shuck in. Shuck looks like, Brandon Wheaton. That's some of the comparisons I've heard. Or who's that Carolina? Clausen, the other aged out player.
Mm-hmm.
So they decide to go ahead and go, okay, we're going to draft a guy. And we're going to take an LSU player because we know him. We got his dad on the staff. We know him better than any player out there because his dad can tell us everything about this guy, what he likes to do, what his strengths, what his weaknesses. All right. Bring him in. Big excitement. Nussmeier's a quarterback. Nussmeier goes out there and he looks like J.J. McCarthy from last Sunday. Or he looks like Caleb Williams with the Bears. Or he looks like Sean's boy, Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. Or he looks like, Sam Darnold with the Jets. Now, Dad, you got to tell your son, or we're going to bench your son. How is this going to work out? I don't like that. I want this to be as objective as possible, and I just don't feel comfortable. And he's not Joe Burrow. He is not Jaden Daniels. He is Garrett Nussmeier. He's not. He's just not an impressive and imposing quarterback. He just gives me Zach Mettenberger vibes, and I don't know how to describe it other than that, because Zach Mettenberger wasn't considered a top draft pick, but I can just see. I remember when he was coming up out of the draft, coming up as a senior, and LSU fans were just like beating that drum. Bring Mettenberger into New Orleans. Make him the backup behind Drew. I don't know how much longer Drew's going to play. This is during the 7 and 9 years too, so it made it even worse. But yeah, Drew could be hitting near the edge. We'll just, get Sean Payton with Zach Mettenberger. He's got the size and everything. He can make him in this system. He can make him work. And I just, I know, and I know. And a lot of it is because he's an LSU quarterback. So my long point, I've been rambling for a while. My long point is, though, there isn't a clear-cut guy as of September 16th of 2025. There's nobody out there right now where everyone is saying, that's the guy. Mm-hmm. That guy is going to tear up the league when he gets in the NFL. that guy's is the number one overall pick. That guy's the Heisman guy. That guy is the guy that we can see really doing something in the NFL. We don't have that yet. We got a lot of names out there who are playing up and down, just like the NFL, with a lot of these guys out there being up and down as far as their quality of play. And we still haven't seen Tyler Shuck out there. Rattler hasn't won a game yet. There's a lot of questions that have to be answered that will be answered when we can start having a conversation about the draft in November and December. I mean, I think that's where the conversation really has to go. Right now, we're still in the let's see what they can do. Let's see what this guy can do.
Yep.
You know, Devin Neal, he didn't play at all on Sunday. Didn't get a single carry. Kamara got the bulk of the carries, and Kamara also had a great game, except for the fumble, which was a drive killer and kind of a turning point in the game. Kamara had never rushed for 100 yards against the 49ers. In fact, he had his lowest yards per carry of his career against the 49ers. And it's like Michael Jordan with the iPad, and I took that personally. So he got 100 yards rushing. But as a result, we didn't see Devin Neal at all. And Kendre Miller only touched the ball as a running back 5 times. Do we need to see more of those two guys?
Yeah, because I still feel like you have Kellen Moore still, for some reason, dipping his toes in the water, trying to see his skill position players. Because you have practice, but I feel like he's still trying to get more of this game situation down because, I would be exercising more of these running backs more than just, okay, here, Kamara, here, hey, diddle, Kamara up the middle and all that kind of stuff. I would get Devin Neal involved. I would get Kendre involved, giving not just Kamara a break, but seeing how they react how they keep reacting to Kendre if I give him two or three carries in a drive. See how they react. See what happens if I have Neal and Kendre, who they think is going to get the ball if I decide to run it.
Well, it seems to me that these guys, Moore, maybe Nussmeier, just doesn't trust these guys yet enough to give them a lot of carries. I know Kendre is struggling with pass blocking.
He's doing a little bit better, though. He's doing better.
Yeah.
Because there are some times I saw him have some pretty good blitz pickup.
Yeah. And I think he's waiting for that to kind of justify giving him more carries, keep him out there where Kamara knows what he's got to do. He's not that great. He's not Mark Ingram as far as blitz pickups, but he at least knows what he needs to do. I think Devin Neal, because he's missed so much time, I think Devin Neal is just behind as far as his responsibilities. I think Devin Neal, somebody we're going to see more as the season goes on. He might even be the closer. If the Saints ever get in a position where they're winning a game and they just need to run the ball to run out the game, I think that's when you'll see more Devin Neal as a closer. Let's see. We talked about almost everything on the offensive and defensive line. All the skill players. Spencer Rattler, then. Let's just talk about Rattler by himself.
Okay.
Rattler had his first multi-touchdown game. He had 3 touchdowns. He seems to be getting better, and he's definitely cut his sacks down. He makes his reads faster. Yeah. He's still got some accuracy issues, but he makes good decisions when to run. It's not one and then get rid of it. Blitzes aren't phasing him like it was before. It seems like the game has slowed down for him. How would you grade Spencer Rattler so far, and how long would you keep him in as a starter?
So I would grade him about C+, B-, probably close to the B- because his game 2 was actually very good. I'm not gonna downplay it at all.
No, I'm
because-
not asking you to. I'm just
Yeah, I know, but I will keep him started for these next 2 games because I was concerned how he was going to respond after the Arizona game.
Mm-hmm.
I was concerned that if he performed the same or worse, do you start having that conversation where Shock has to come in against Seattle? But fortunately, we don't have to have that conversation because he proved my doubts wrong. But now we have these next 2 games. You're going on the road. You're going to tough places to play. You're going to Seattle, the 12th man. You're going against the Bills a week after. How are you going to handle those road games? Because Rattler on the road is way worse than Rattler at home. He has 1 touchdown on the road. Meanwhile, at home he has like 2 or 3. He now has a total of 5 or 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, Seattle is not the Seattle of the Legion of Boom, of Pete Carroll. They're a very beatable team, but yeah, Rattler on the road has not been very good. So I'm curious to see how he does. How does he respond to that? And that's part of the reason why I think they need to run the ball a lot more to get the pressure off of him. I said after week 1, you can't have a guy like Rattler throwing the ball 46 times and expect to win. You can't expect a guy to throw his way to victory against the Seahawks right now. I think it's going to be the 49ers kind of did it to us. They controlled time of possession. They extended drives because of mistakes that we made. That's kind of what the Saints have to do. A lot like what Mac Jones did. They made the game very simple for Mac Jones, a very basic plan, and it kept them, I see Black 59 Razor, which is one of my favorite plays, by the way. But yeah, he says Mac Jones clowned you guys. Oh, Black 59 Razor is that's Joe Montana in Super Bowl against the Broncos where he hung 55 points on them. Super Bowl 20 is it Super Bowl 29? I think it's Super Bowl 27. It's the 1989 Super Bowl. No, it's Super Bowl 24. Super Bowl 24. Super Bowl 25 is Buffalo and the Giants. But yeah, that's the play. Joe Montana's in the Superdome going Black 59 Razor, Black 59 Razor, and he hits Jerry Rice on the slant. And then in the Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl in the Dome with the Packers, Brett Favre was watching that Super Bowl highlight film from NFL Films, and he says, "You know what?" Because Mike Holmgren was the 49ers offensive coordinator back then. He says, "We have a black. We don't call it Black 59 Razor. We basically have that same play, a razor play that we run, and that is the first touchdown to." Was it Andre Rison? I think it was Andre Rison. He threw that slant too.
Let's see.
It's basically it's a form of a slant. It's like a deep post.
Okay.
I'm sorry, skinny post, but it's to the opposite side. And I think it was Rison. He threw it too.
Yeah. Is this the Super Bowl against Denver or the Super Bowl against
New England?
Against New England. Let's see.
That's 31 or 32, something like that. But yeah.
Let's see. Give me a hot minute.
But anyway, going back.
Because I'm going to have the stats pull up in just a hot minute. But if I'm not wrong, maybe that. Because let's see. Because I don't think that was Rison.
Yeah, I think it was.
Then it was Rison. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you have Antonio Freeman, Andre Rison. Because the other name I was looking at was Desmond Howard.
Yeah, Desmond Howard was a kick returner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't Howard. And
okay.
and Freeman had broken his arm just before the playoffs, and he had this huge cast on
Mm-hmm.
his arm that affected him catching the ball. Yeah. So going back to the Saints' game plan against the Seahawks, they have to be able to run the football, run it effectively, and use motion, use screens, use draws, delays, that kind of stuff to get Kamara into space against that defense, and that's the way that Rattler will finally get his first win. I mean, he's 0-2 this year, 0-8 for his career. That if they make a decision to bench him,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be because, and it's not Rattler's fault they're losing, but Rattler's not carrying them over the top to help them win, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it
He's
makes
not
sense.
he's not the difference maker. He needs a lot of things to go right for him to win. He's not playing awful, but he's not playing well enough to win. Oh, cool. That's interesting, Anna. You know, the Riverwalk was built for the World's Fair back in '84. So that's how I'm older than that. But I was at the original Riverwalk back in the day when it was part of the World's Fair. Yeah, so that's how Rattler can win. And if the Saints, this is their last chance to get a win before the Giants game, and we don't even know how the Giants game is going to turn out. I mean,
Yeah.
they just tore apart the Cowboys, and they still lost. But I mean, they did get like 400 and something yards against the Cowboys and force overtime. So I don't know how easy of a game that's going to be anymore. But if the Giants decide to bench Russell Wilson because he has 2 bad games, that could be the game that either Rattler gets his first win, or it could be the game that Chuck gets his first start, and maybe against Jackson Dart.
Yeah, because Dayball's on that hot seat, and his trump card is, well, I guess I got to play Dart before I'm tossed out of here.
Well, you got to play Dart. I mean, that's the only saving grace you're going to have to keep your job. Is Dart comes out there and Dart wins a few games for you. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's the game I'm looking for. If he doesn't win this weekend, I know you're about ready to go. Real quick, do you have a prediction for Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, the Saints are 7.5-point underdogs against the Seahawks. And I think it might be a touchdown score. I think, Seattle's going to do a lot to us. I think it's probably going to be the final score. The Seahawks are probably going to win. I'm going to say 24-7. It's going to be tedious, boring, but I think we only muster up 1 touchdown. We'd be lucky to hit 10 points.
Wow. I got, the Saints keep it close all the time. I don't see it being that big of a mistake or a loss. Mm-hmm. Hey Jerry, I'm with you, man. I think this is the Saints' last chance to get a win because I think the Buffalo game in 2 weeks is going to be a skull drag. I just don't want to get embarrassed. I'm hoping Buffalo takes it all out on whoever they're playing this week. I don't even know who they're playing this week.
Buffalo is playing...
they're playing Miami on Thursday night. That's right.
And I almost picked Buffalo this week for my Survivor League, but I changed my mind, and I think I picked the Chiefs, I'm pretty sure. Because they're playing a cupcake team too. Because let me see,
Chiefs 0-2. I'm not. They're not. The Chiefs are finding out.
They're playing the Giants.
Well, the Chiefs are finding out what happens when you're always drafting the bottom of the draft because you keep going to Super Bowls and you can't afford to pay everybody.
Right.
They're just not strong enough right now.
I just don't
no,
know. I just don't know who else to pick.
I just don't want. Buffalo's going to be coming off of a 10-day rest because they played on Thursday night. We have to go to Buffalo. Whew, that's just going to be an ugly game. I don't want to think about that. Let Bob talk about that one next week. But I kind of see the Saints keeping it close all game. If they can get the running game going, and if they fix some of the problems they have on defense where they're letting big plays go on third down, get it more even, because the Saints were like 4 of 15, I think, on third down.
4 of 11.
4 of 11, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If they can get it closer to like both teams are around, or the Saints are around 50% on third down, and the other team's like 40% on third down, then the Saints will probably win something like 23-20, something to that effect. But I have to wait and see the injury report. But right now, I'll probably make a prediction: the Seahawks win 24-17, something like that. That's where I'm going right now. But we'll see. Chase Young, we'll have to see if he practices.
If Chase Young practices, I think it's going to turn out better for the Saints.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Matt. I know you don't really, you're on social media, but where can they find you if they want to talk football with you, especially when it comes draft time?
Yeah, of course. Budrich17 on it on Twitter. That's where I mostly hang out. And yeah, that's basically it. That's the one I've been using the most.
And you're in the Saints Happy Hour Discord channel, aren't you?
Yep, and that Discord channel, Saints Happy Hour.
Yeah. That's the regular Saints Happy Hour trivia guy. Hangs out in the Discord channel. So if that's another podcast, a good podcast, but that's one that Matt likes to hang out in too. So I appreciate you filling in for Bob this week. I appreciate all you guys joining in. Black 59 Razor came in to talk some shit. That's fine. I don't, you're 49ers. I mean, yeah, you're a rival, but from the old days, but it's not like you're a Falcon fan. If you're a Falcon fan, them are really going to give you crap. Yeah, I know. And I feel the same way. I tell you what, it's getting harder and harder. I tell you what, I'll just leave it at that. In the meantime, Bob, I hope you feel better. We'll see you next week. I don't think there's a Bayou Blitz this week either. But check on Thursday and see if Bob's feeling up to it. They may do it on Thursday night. If not, he'll be back next week on our show. He'll be back next week on the Bayou Blitz. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Under the Dome. Good night, everybody.